What's it like to date one of the most iconic women ever? Cindy Crawford, the supermodel of the 90s, the face on every magazine cover, the dream girl of a generation. Wasn't just a fashion icon, she was also a woman who loved deeply, made bold choices, and walked through heartbreaks with grace and resilience. From a high-profile marriage with Richard Gere to headline-grabbing links with Val Kilmer, Bon Jovi, and John F. Kennedy Jr., to her enduring love story with Rande Gerber, Cindy's romantic journey is as captivating as her runway career. But behind the perfect photos and megawatt smile is a woman who's learned to navigate love in the spotlight, with vulnerability, strength, and a sense of self that's only grown stronger with time. In this video, we'll walk through the unforgettable love life of Cindy Crawford, not just as a supermodel, but as a woman who, like all of us, fell hard, grew wiser, and found something real. So hit that like button, share this story, and don't forget to subscribe for more raw, powerful, and beautifully human love stories from Hollywood's most fascinating stars. 1. Christy Turlington. At first glance, they look like the ultimate fashion power couple. Two women with otherworldly beauty, matching poise, and an almost cinematic chemistry. Cindy Crawford and Christy Turlington weren't just walking the same runway, they were rewriting what it meant to be a supermodel. In the early 90s, during the golden age of fashion, Cindy and Christy shared more than just camera flashes. From their iconic Vogue cover shot by Peter Lindbergh in January 1990 to the unforgettable Versace catwalk in fall-winter 1991, and their star-making appearance in George Michael's Freedom 90s video. Every moment they appeared side by side made headlines. Rumors swirled. Were they close friends, friendly rivals, or more? But the truth is far more straightforward and much more powerful. What bloomed between them wasn't rivalry or romance, but a deep and lasting friendship. Cindy and Christy built something grounded in mutual respect, admiration, and authenticity in an industry known for its fierce competition. Years later, Cindy would reflect on it with genuine warmth. The best part of all of it is that when we see each other now, there's no competition, just love, laughter, and memories. We all won. Their lives have taken different turns. Cindy became a business mogul and beauty icon, while Christy dedicated herself to philanthropy and maternal health advocacy. Yet, their bond has endured. From Apple TV Plus's The Supermodels to their joint Vogue US and UK covers in 2023, they've continued to stand beside each other, not as legends of the past, but as living proof that real friendships can thrive under even the brightest lights. They weren't rivals. They weren't a secret fling. They were, and still are, friends in the most genuine, most graceful sense of the word. Together, they helped define an era. And together, they've reminded us that some of the strongest love stories aren't romantic. They're built on trust, loyalty, and years of showing up. 2. Richard Gere. After a decade-defining friendship with Christy Turlington, Cindy Crawford stepped into an entirely different kind of connection, as glamorous as it was introspective, with Hollywood heartthrob Richard Gere. They met at a dinner party in 1988, hosted by legendary photographer Herb Ritts. Cindy was in her early 20s, already a rising star in fashion. Nearly 2 decades her senior, Richard was an established actor at the height of his fame. Cindy later said it wasn't love at first sight, but curiosity. She was drawn to his quiet intensity. He was intrigued by her intelligence and poise. After several years of dating, they married impulsively in Las Vegas on December 12, 1991. It wasn't the fairy tale wedding the world expected. Cindy wore a navy suit, their wedding bands were made of aluminum foil, and the ceremony was simple. It felt more like a statement of commitment than a celebration, and Cindy would later admit it wasn't her dream wedding. From the outside, they were the ultimate power couple, but on the inside, things were more complex. Tabloids swirled with gossip, suggesting everything from a contract marriage to rumors questioning their sexualities, all of which both Cindy and Richard firmly denied. But the real cracks came from within. A 17-year age gap, 2 lives moving at different speeds, and a lack of emotional alignment. Cindy was still discovering who she was. Richard had already done a lot of that inner work. While he was diving deeper into meditation and Buddhism, Cindy still craved more down-to-earth joys, like travel and time with friends in the south of France. She once admitted that she tried too hard to fit into his world instead of standing firm in her identity. They also spent a lot of time apart, constantly traveling and working. The emotional intimacy began to erode. In retrospect, Cindy said being true friends with Richard was challenging. His presence, magnetic and worldly, often felt overwhelming, and she didn't have the self-awareness to balance the dynamic. They divorced in 1995 after 4 years of marriage, and true to Cindy's character, she never spoke poorly of him. She credited Richard with teaching her how to gracefully navigate fame, protect her privacy, and treat fans with dignity. In her 2015 memoir, she barely mentions the marriage, not out of denial, but out of quiet respect for something that, for a time, was real and meaningful. Today, when asked about Richard Gere, she calls the relationship friendly but distant, like acquaintances. A dignified closure for a chapter that once held so much public fascination. Their relationship may not have lasted, but it played a pivotal role in Cindy's growth and left an undeniable mark on pop culture in the early 90s. 3. Jon Bon Jovi. After a short-lived but high-profile marriage to Richard Gere, Cindy Crawford found herself in an entirely different kind of spotlight. Not through a tabloid scandal or a red carpet appearance, but through a Christmas music video that would spark endless rumors and, unexpectedly, a lifelong friendship with rock legend Jon Bon Jovi. It all began in 1994 with the release of Please Come Home for Christmas, a heartfelt cover by Bon Jovi produced to benefit Best Buddies International. This organization supports people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Directed by iconic fashion photographer Herb Ritz, the video featured Cindy and Jon as a glamorous, cozy couple celebrating the holidays together. Their on-screen chemistry, sealed with a now iconic kiss in front of a Christmas tree, was so believable that fans and the press alike began to wonder, was this just acting or something more? The rumors took off. The scene was intimate. The mood was romantic. People speculated about off-screen sparks, especially when Jon reposted a vintage photo of himself with Cindy at the 1991 MTV VMAs. Some tabloids even listed Cindy among his legendary 100, a reference to the many famous women photographed with him over the years. But the truth was far less scandalous and far more human. At the time of filming, both Cindy and Jon were married. Cindy was still with Richard Gere, and Jon had been with his high school sweetheart, Dorothea Hurley, since the late 1980s. Dorothea was on set during filming, visibly pregnant with their son Jesse, and by all accounts completely unbothered by the romantic visuals playing out for the camera. There was no tension, no jealousy. Instead, something unexpected happened. Dorothea and Cindy bonded. Cindy later joked about borrowing her friend's husband for a good cause. The three have maintained a friendly relationship ever since. Over the years, Cindy and Jon have fondly reviewed the video, often referencing it with a wink and a smile on social media. What might have been a fleeting moment of holiday glamour became something more enduring, a reminder of the professionalism, respect, and camaraderie that can exist between two icons at the top of their fields. In a world obsessed with scandal and gossip, Cindy and Jon's brief on-screen romance remains a rare kind of Hollywood story. One built not on headlines, but on mutual respect, timeless style, and a shared moment that helped make a difference. And that, more than any rumor, has stood the test of time. 4. Jon Stewart. Among the famous names orbiting Cindy Crawford's life in the 90s, one stood out not because of a steamy tabloid headline, but because of a gym date that blended charm, comedy, and just the right amount of chemistry. Enter Jon Stewart. In 1994, when Cindy was reigning as the queen of supermodels and Jon was a rising star in the comedy world, the two shared a now iconic segment on MTV's House of Style. The concept? A mock date at the gym, full of witty banter, awkward workout challenges, and many laughs. From bouncing medicine balls to puffing on cigarettes mid-exercise. Yes, it was very 1994. The segment struck a rare cultural chord. Playful, tongue-in-cheek, and surprisingly flirty. At the time, Cindy embodied high fashion's calm confidence, while Jon earned a reputation as the sharp-tongued intellectual heartthrob. Funny, self-deprecating, and completely disarming. Watching them navigate a faux fitness date was like witnessing two different pop culture planets briefly align, one from the catwalks of Milan, the other from New York's late-night circuit, creating a collision that fans still remember decades later. Although the encounter was staged for television, it left viewers wondering, was there something real behind the jokes? Some sources have casually mentioned Jon Stewart as someone Cindy may have dated post-Richard Gere, though no formal relationship was ever confirmed. The evidence, thin, the intrigue, undeniable. Regardless of what happened off-camera, that MTV moment remains one of the more unexpected and endearing intersections in Cindy Crawford's romantic timeline. It wasn't red carpet glitz or tabloid drama, but a lighthearted memory, showcasing Cindy's charisma and willingness to lean into the fun, and Jon's effortless ability to play the everyman opposite an icon. Ultimately, their chemistry may have lasted just one episode, but it was enough to earn a permanent spot in 90s pop culture lore. A supermodel and a smart aleck in a gym remind us that sometimes the most memorable, almost love stories are the ones that never quite left the locker room. 5. John F. Kennedy Jr. In the mid-1990s, when America's fascination with icons reached new heights, a single magazine cover ignited curiosity, not just for its bold imagery, but for the connection it hinted at between two cultural titans, Cindy Crawford and John F. Kennedy Jr. At the time, JFK Jr. wasn't just the handsome heir to a political dynasty. He was also the founder and editor-in-chief of George. This political and lifestyle magazine aimed to blend celebrity and civic engagement. For one of its most talked-about issues, he enlisted Cindy Crawford, the reigning queen of supermodels, and had her pose as none other than George Washington. The result? A cover that was as provocative as it was brilliant, blending Americana with high fashion in a way only the 90s could pull off. It wasn't just the concept that caught people's attention, it was the pairing. JFK Jr. choosing Cindy wasn't arbitrary, it was intentional, strategic, and some say personal. Rumors quickly swirled that there might be more than professional admiration between them. While neither of them ever confirmed a romantic relationship, whispers of flirtation and private encounters followed the issue's release like a shadow. There were no paparazzi photos, red carpet moments, or scandal, just a cover, a concept, and two of the most recognizable faces of their era. For many fans, that was enough. The idea of John F. Kennedy Jr., America's most eligible bachelor with a political pedigree, and Cindy Crawford, the epitome of 90s glamour, was a fantasy pairing that felt both unlikely and perfectly matched. Looking back, Cindy's George cover remains one of her career's most iconic and politically charged. It marked a cultural moment and a subtle intersection of two legends from different worlds. One represents legacy and lineage, and the other redefines beauty and power on her terms. While their relationship, if there ever was one, never became official, the intrigue surrounding them continues to captivate. It's one of those rare what-if moments in pop culture history, not defined by headlines, but by the collective imagination. 6. Val Kilmer. In the mid-1990s, Cindy Crawford stepped into a chapter that, though brief, left an undeniable mark, both on her life and on the heart of one of Hollywood's most enigmatic leading men, Val Kilmer. They first crossed paths in 1995 at the premiere of Batman Forever. Cindy had just finalized her divorce from Richard Gere, and Val was recovering from his heartbreak following his split from actress Joanne Whalley. What started as a spark quickly turned into something meaningful. A relationship that lasted about 2 years, but lived far longer in memory. For Val Kilmer, their time together was anything but casual. In his 2020 memoir, I'm Your Huckleberry, he wrote with unfiltered passion. "Oh God, I loved Cindy and I still love her. I could have died from loving her because the pleasure of it was too much to bear. I would have died happily. It's not every day a Hollywood heartthrob speaks so vulnerably about love, but with Cindy it wasn't just about her looks. Val was smitten with her beauty. He wrote that her kindness, quick wit, and surprising domestic charm captivated him even more. He even revealed she was an excellent cook who traveled with her favorite recipes. That kind of detail doesn't come from a fling, but from sharing real moments. One of the few public photos of them together was taken in April 1996 as they walked hand in hand through the streets of Moscow. No red carpets, no staged poses, just two global icons strolling like any other couple halfway across the world. Still, as with many high-profile relationships, the realities of their careers caught up with them. Cindy's schedule was relentless: photo shoots, campaigns, appearances across continents. Eventually, the distance became too much, and by 1997, they quietly parted ways. But for Val, Cindy never truly left. He has continued to speak of her with reverence, admiration, and a softness rarely seen from a man once dubbed the ultimate Hollywood bad boy. She wasn't just a chapter in his love life. She was, in his words, one of the most cherished. Their romance may not have lasted forever, but it left behind something rare: a sense of mutual respect, a few unforgettable memories, and a legacy of tenderness that lingers decades later. 7th, Rande Gerber. After years of high-profile romances and fleeting headlines, it wasn't flash or fame that made Cindy Crawford finally pause. It was something far quieter, deeper, and more lasting. In Rande Gerber, she didn't just find a husband, she found her home. There's a reason why Cindy and Rande's love story stands out in a town like Hollywood, where long-term marriages are more myth than reality. Their relationship has never been about red carpet spectacle or public declarations. It's about deep friendship, quiet trust, and a partnership built to last. They first met in the early 90s at a wedding, when Cindy was still married to Richard Gere and Rande was dating someone else. But what sparked between them wasn't romance, it was friendship. And that foundation, Cindy has said, made all the difference. "You're not trying to impress someone when they're your friend," she explained years later. "You can just be yourself." After her divorce, that friendship gently evolved into something more. By 1997, Cindy and Rande made their first red carpet appearance together, and in 1998, they tied the knot on a beach in the Bahamas. It wasn't a grand celebrity event. There were no paparazzi, no designer gowns, just 90 guests, bare feet on the sand, and Cindy wearing an off-the-rack white lace mini dress by John Galliano. Simple, perfect. Together, they built a life that's rich in more than status. They raised 2 children, Presley, born in 1999, and Kaya, born in 2001. Both kids were delivered at home. Today, Kaya follows in her mother's modeling footsteps, while Presley explores his path. Through it all, Cindy and Rande have been right there, co-parents, mentors, partners, navigating fame without ever sacrificing family. The secret lies in their partnership beyond love. Rande co-founded Casamigos Tequila with George Clooney. Cindy hasn't just been a supporter, she's been hands-on, appearing in campaigns and inspiring the brand's new Casamigas jalapeno flavor. "He's a marketing genius," she said with pride. He calls marrying Cindy and raising their children his most significant achievement. Not business, not celebrity. In May 2023, they celebrated 25 years of marriage with throwback wedding photos on Instagram, sharing sweet messages that weren't performative but real. Raw, full of heart. "When your partner is your best friend, that's a gift," Rande wrote. And they've become best friends who still laugh, dream, and choose each other daily. Even now, in 2025, the family is often seen together at public events and in personal family photos, proof that a relationship built on the right things doesn't just survive, it thrives. Cindy and Rande show us that love doesn't have to be loud to be powerful, it just has to be real. In a world of breakups and reboots, they're a rare constant. A reminder that lasting love is not only possible, it's beautiful. 8. Shaquille O'Neal. You wouldn't expect a basketball legend and a supermodel to cross paths like Cindy Crawford and Shaquille O'Neal did, but when they did, it turned into one of the most unexpectedly humorous and eventually heartwarming chapters in pop culture's playbook. Their names were first linked in 2001, though not in a way either likely anticipated. During a live radio interview, Shaq jokingly claimed to have been romantically involved with several famous women, including Venus Williams, Aaliyah, and Cindy Crawford. The comment sparked immediate backlash. Headlines ran wild, and the public didn't find the humor he intended. Tabloids had a field day with sensational headlines like "Shaq, my affair with Cindy Crawford," while late-night shows parodied the scenario. But Shaq quickly realized the joke had gone too far. Publicly and sincerely, he apologized. "I'm sorry, Venus. I'm sorry, Cindy Crawford. I'm sorry, Aaliyah." He explained that the remark was made in jest, with no truth behind it. "Even my mom called me out," he later confessed, calling himself a failed stand-up comedian for the joke gone wrong. It was a teachable moment for which he didn't shy away from taking responsibility. Fast forward more than 20 years, and the narrative between Shaq and Cindy came full circle, most unexpectedly and charmingly. In 2023, during a segment on Inside the NBA on TNT, Cindy sent a playful video to the panel, including Shaq, introducing a new spicy jalapeno flavor from Casamigos Tequila, the brand co-founded by her husband, Rande Gerber. "I heard some of you like it hot," Cindy teased. "Maybe I'm talking to you, Shaq." The studio erupted in laughter. Shaq grinned, dramatically guarding the bottle. "Back off. That's mine." It was a lighthearted, self-aware moment that gently poked fun at the past and showed how time, maturity, and mutual respect can turn a long-ago controversy into a shared laugh. Their connection goes back even further. In 1993, long before the radio incident, Cindy and Shaq posed for a now iconic magazine shoot. Cindy wore an oversized pair of Shaq's jeans in one memorable image, sexy, playful, and absurd. It was a photo that said, "We don't take ourselves too seriously," long before social media made such moments common. Today, the relationship between Cindy and Shaq serves as a case study for gracefully moving past awkward headlines. No hard feelings, no media battles, just two cultural icons, decades into their careers, still showing up with humor and humility. In the end, what could have remained a regrettable soundbite turned into something far better. A reminder that growth is possible, forgiveness matters, and even a supermodel and a Hall of Famer can laugh at themselves and with each other. As of 2025, Cindy Crawford, now 59, remains every bit the icon she was in her prime. Her timeless beauty, quiet confidence, and commanding presence captivate audiences worldwide. Cindy's most lasting role beyond the runway and the camera lens may be that of the one she plays off stage: devoted wife, proud mother, and a woman deeply in tune with her purpose. She and her husband, Rande Gerber, her partner of over 25 years, still share a grounded, loving life, raising 2 children, Presley and Kaya, who have stepped into their spotlight. Kaya, in particular, has followed in her mother's footsteps into fashion, adding a new chapter to the Crawford legacy. Though Cindy has stepped away from the catwalk, she's far from retired. She remains active in high-profile fashion campaigns, philanthropic efforts, and entrepreneurial projects, while continuing to inspire a generation of women who see in her a role model for aging with grace, balancing ambition with authenticity, and living life on her terms. Her romantic past, filled with passionate love stories, unforgettable friendships, and a few whispered rumors, reads like a map of a life lived fully. Whether it was the sophistication of Richard Gere, the poetic passion of Val Kilmer, or the unshakable bond with her bestie Christy Turlington, each relationship reflected a different facet of Cindy's growth: her vulnerability, her independence, her resilience. And perhaps that's the most potent part of her story. Not the glamorous headlines or the star-studded partners, but the way she's carried herself through it all, with strength, grace, and a sense of self that only deepens with time. Which chapter of Cindy's love story resonated most with you? Was it the fire of young love, the enduring magic of a strong marriage, or the beauty of a lifelong friendship that never needed labels? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes stories and intimate portraits of the world's most unforgettable icons. We'll see you in the following video.